Welcome to another episode of Vendhan Show from Washington, D.C. It is a show for discussing issues, history, and heritage of the people of South Asia to the rest of the world in a language people could understand from Washington, D.C. I'm your host, Vendhan. The name my parents gave me was part anglicized and part Sanskritized. So for the purpose of this show, I prefer to call my name Vendhan. That represents my heritage clearly. Today, at this show, we want to discuss the plight of Christians, Hindus, and other religious groups such as Buddhists and Sikhs in the nation of Bangladesh. Bangladesh is roughly the size of the state of Georgia with a population of 163 million people. She became an independent country in 1971 from Pakistan with the help of India. Mrs. Indira Gandhi, the then Prime Minister of India, saw a strategic advantage in helping Bangladesh gain independence from Pakistan. Before the partition of the subcontinent, I am given to believe that majority of the people there were Hindus. Currently, Bangladesh is the eighth most populated country in the world with 163 million people, but now the Hindu population has been reduced to 8.5%, while the Buddhists stand at 0.6%, and the Christians make up about 0.4% of the population. Lately, Bangladesh is going through some religious upheavals where religious radical form of conservative Islam is seen pushing the society towards a more intolerant society. As a result, the Hindu, Christian, and other religious minorities there are experiencing more violence directed towards them. Abduction of young girls and disappearance of young men have become most common. Islamic vigilante groups operating with impunity target Hindu and Christian populations. At the same time, the government has shown inability to or unwillingness to prosecute the perpetrators. Sometimes government officials and the agencies even flout the constitution of Bangladesh to deny opportunities or justice to the religious minorities. In the month of December 2021, the US government imposed economic and travel sanctions against the elite paramilitary force of Bangladesh called the Rapid Action Battalion, and 7 of its current and former officers for serious human rights violations carried out by the force. I'm here with Mr. Shekar Tiwari, a longtime friend of mine in Washington, D.C., to discuss and dissect the issue of the plight of Hindus, Christians, and Buddhists in Bangladesh. Mr. Tiwari is the president of American Indo-European Pacific Forum. He is a longtime member of the Hindu nationalist organization called the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, commonly known as the RSS. The RSS is considered to be a paramilitary organization that strives to create a homeland for the Hindus. The issue of a need to have a Hindu homeland itself is a controversial subject, but we can discuss that at another time. Mr. Tiwari is a fixture in Washington for the past 40 or 50 years. At times, he works on his own to advance the cause of his organization, and at other times, he weighs in on US-India policy matters. I often have disagreed with him in many important issues. We are firmly entrenched in opposing sides. But on some occasions, we see ourselves on the same side, and Bangladesh is one such issue. Let me welcome Mr. Tiwari to Vendhan Show. I want to start by asking your immediate thoughts on the news about sanctions against the government entity in Bangladesh, and what are your thoughts?
Well, during the 71 war between Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh people, 3 million people died. Of the 3 million, 80% of them are Hindus. And out of this percentage, totally 400,000 Hindu women were raped. It's not that only Muslim Hindus were raped. Muslim women were also raped, but Hindu women, 400,000 were raped. Estimated 50 to 60,000 kids were born in that one. The raping was done by Pakistani army and a group of people who supported them. They believed that Pakistan should stay in Bangladesh, called Rajakar. These people helped the Pakistani army to go door to door to find Bangladeshi women. See, whether Hindu or Muslim, they're all Bangladeshi, they're all Bengalis. Culturally, they're same people. Rabindranath wrote the Bangladesh, India's national anthem, and also the Bangladesh national anthem. One is Amar Sonar Bangla, that's Bangladesh. Janagana Mana Adhinayak Jai is India. So culturally, Bengal and Bangladesh is one country. To a large extent, Bangladesh is secular. The difference between Pakistan and Bangladesh is the Muslims of Bangladesh is somewhat secular. On the other hand, Pakistan is not. And culturally, there is a cultural mix between the Bengal and Bangladesh. Of course, if you take Punjab in Pakistan and Pakistani Punjab, they're culturally the same. So there is a bit of difference, even though religion differs, but to large extent, these people are the same people other than religion. Now, Buddhists who are tribals and the Christians, they are different. They are culturally the same. The Buddhist of Bengal, the Buddhist of Bangladesh is the same. So,
but how do you say they are different when you say they are different?
Religion. See, Islam is a very powerful, very dominating religion. So either you are a Muslim or you're not. But Christians, Hindus, Buddhists, they somewhat flexible in the sense that they're not stuck to their religion. Religion is not the totally guiding principle. Their life is guiding. Culture is guiding. The songs, the music. The Christians of Bangladesh, they're also Bengali. The Buddhists are Bengalis. And same song, same music, same dance. It's all the same. See?
But given the sanctions currently that you see that the US has taken a step that seems to have surprised the establishment in Bangladesh. Do you see that it's warranted? Is it necessary?
Yeah, in fact, this particular group, Rapid Battalion, was really created to control the mob and demonstrations. Bangladesh gets into demonstration very often, and they destroy property, churches, temples, all over. There are both party has the extreme organization, Jamaat-e Islami or Hifazat-e Islam. There are two parties, and they both have their own arm of the extremist organizations. So they often get into a long protest, and a lot of people die. So Sheikh Hasina government created this RAB, which composed of 3 units. Well, some come from the police, some come from the army, some come from the border security police. So this one was created largely to control the riots. But again, as the opposition dissidents grew, this group was supposedly used to really find the dissidents arrest them. And if you look at Human Rights Watch or Amnesty International, they claim, and I have no reason to disbelieve them, 600 people were missing. Many of them are journalists. Many of them are even Europeans. 600 people are killed. Nobody knows where they are. These people were picked up at their homes, and you never find out what happened to them. So this was going on for almost, I would say, almost a decade. And it was well known. This has gone into a debate in the British Parliament. And then there has been a very heated discussion about what happened to those people. So this problem was known. And also was known that RAB is the one that is pushed in to find those dissidents, arrest them. And so what has happened should not be any surprise to Bangladesh government or anybody else. This was necessary, and I think the United States government did the right thing.
So your organization, that you're a member of the Hindu nationalist organization in India, you have a government right now in Delhi. Why is there a hesitation? Why is there not an active initiative? I remember when there was a problem in Sri Lanka, you were telling me about no one has the right to kill so many Hindus. I know how passionately you feel about the security and
Still I feel about the same thing. Still I feel the same way. There is see, if you go back to the origin of India, India was not divided between Hindu and Muslim. India was divided between a secular state, India, and the Muslim state called Pakistan. People really sometimes don't notice it. Pakistan is an Islamic government, Islamic Republic of Pakistan.
Well, that became an Islamic government later, but Muhammad Ali Jinnah did not propose an Islamic state, as you know.
Bangladesh too. Bangladesh also was founded as a secular state, but now its constitution says it is Islamic state. And in Islamic state, other religions really, they don't recognize the place of other people. You can live there. They probably might treat you okay. But really, by their own definition, they don't see the other religion in those countries now. So India, so what happened? There was a population exchange was not based on Hindu and Muslim. It was based on people who want to go to Pakistan and people who don't want to go to Pakistan. In fact, this is the irony of the time, that all those people, all the states who wanted to create Pakistan, they never went to Pakistan. And all the 4 states, provinces, which did not want to be in Pakistan, is now in Pakistan. Sindh, Punjab, northwestern frontier, Pajansi, Balochistan, none of these voted to be a part of Pakistan. Punjab voted for Congress.
But coming back to the question of, now you have a government in place. Mr. Modi is having a very autocratic leadership, if I can say so. Yes, it is elected parliament, but it's not very. The parliament is not functioning in a truly democratic sense. A truly democratic way, if you will, in my opinion, at least. So,
well, that's what he
has a lot of resources, and he strongly, of course, believes in the safety of the.
Let me give you insight on what is happening. See, so there are 2 parts of the government.
Yeah, can you speak a little louder? What's that?
Yeah. There are 2 parts of the government. A famous American, a think tank scholar told me that every government has a permanent part of the government and temporary part of the government. permanent part of the government does not change. There's a civil service and all. In fact, 95% of the government is a permanent part of it. Only 5% after election, they come as ministers or deputy ministers. So the permanent part of the government in India is Indian bureaucracy. In Pakistan, it is a Pakistani army. That doesn't change. No matter how many times it got. India is very committed that it is a secular country. So it
are you trying to have me convinced that Mr. Modi doesn't have his way with this government?
Well, Mr. Modi could have whatever opinion he wants, but the permanent part of the government is committed to India's constitution that it is a secular country. Now, what they do lately, they want Muslim country. There is an organization called Organization of Islamic Cooperation, 57 countries. So India has a tradition since Nehru to put itself as a non-aligned and secular. Non-aligned and secular words are very important to the permanent part of the government. So they really support those countries which is willing to say and want to say that India is a secular state. And so Bangladesh is one of them. India created Bangladesh as a secular country. It did not create it as a Muslim country, even though same Congress party created Pakistan as a Muslim country. So that's a big difference.
I should object to that, because the Congress party did not create Pakistan. It was the British Raj.
Well,
British authorities, the crown divided the
you're right. The British were the main functionary, but the formula on which Pakistan was created as a homeland for Muslims. But India, the Congress party leaders chose this is a homeland for anybody who's for any religion, right? So it is secular. See, secularism is very important to people in India, especially the permanent part. Yes, there are political parties who really commit to one culture, one religion, but when it comes to governance, they don't. They always stick to secularism of India.
Well,
secularism,
that
India
could be
is
debated.
sacrosanct.
But Shekharji, that could be debated again, maybe in another show. But coming to Bangladesh, why is Mr. Modi is not able to have his counterparts are in Bangladesh to take a very solid approach? Why would we allow a force like Washington to take a decision that affects a neighboring country like Bangladesh? Why did we let it go to that extent?
Right, let me tell you what it is. See, Bangladesh was created by India as a secular state. So there are two parts in Bangladesh. One is Sheikh Hasina, which is somewhat secular. But there is another one, Hasina Jia, right? And there is Jatiya party, three parties there. So Bangladesh, BNP, Jatiya, and Jamaat, the Sheikh Hasina party. Sheikh Hasina is secular. The other one is really Islamic parties, both of them, Jatiya party and the BNP. India finds that it must protect or help the secular party, which is Sheikh Hasina, and it has bore lot of good fruits. The Bangladesh used to be a basket case one time. Today, Bangladesh is a rising economy and one of the hub of all the garment industry. Now, so India has committed itself to help Bangladesh, protect Bangladesh, because it created it as a secular country and committed to protect that one. But again, it does mean, but there are communal forces which really often kills the minority, Hindus, Christian, Buddhists, right? Now, but India could not do because the government is really never powerful. There are these terrorist organizations or communal organizations all over the world. They are very passionate about the religion and they kill people. Now, it is the best of the both evil. Sheikh Hasina is the best choice for India and, among the three parties. So it gives him all the help that it can do. So now, if it presses Sheikh Hasina very much, then what happened? Those Muslim organizations really gang up on Sheikh Hasina, and quite possible she will lose the power. And if Sheikh Hasina lose the power, right, in Bangladesh, it will be terrible for India. All those people will flee to India. And once again, last time 10 million people came to India when Bangladesh was created. So if you don't keep a stable government and a somewhat secular government, the Hindus' condition will be far worse. When BNP government came, in one night, in a district called Bhole, 4,000 Hindu girls were raped. 4,000 in one place. That went to the Supreme Court of Bangladesh, and so 12 people were hanged. So that happened during Hasina Zia.
But Shekarji, I mean, some of the issues, I don't follow Bangladesh that closely. Some of those things that happened in the past, they may have counter arguments and back and forth. But generally, we all agree that the status of Hindus in Bangladesh is becoming precarious day by day.
It is.
Day by day, along with the status of the Christians and Buddhists as well,
right,
in Bangladesh, which is of course a very serious concern. But I remember when last 2 years ago when Mr. Modi government passed this very controversial citizenship law, they gave a provision for the Hindus also, among others, from Pakistan and Bangladesh and Afghanistan, to be able to easily migrate. Is that an option that you are still entertaining?
It's not a practical action. See, you just described that there are 13 million Hindus, and if you take Buddhists and Christians, CAA also allowed them to come back to India. I would say total 16 million people. If 16 million, India does not have the capacity to really, forget about 16, even take 1 million people back. So many of the people whom 71 war were displaced, they are still living in the refugee camp in Bengal and Assam.
But what would you tell the Hindus in Bangladesh who wants to migrate? And if that population, I mean, interestingly, earlier today, I was on another call with some Bangladeshi Christians and Hindus on the call, if I believe correctly. And there was this question, what is the process for us to move to India? Now, I was taken a little aback to even hear such a desire on the part of the victims. Now, are we denying them the right to choose where they want to live? If you say
you're absolutely right. This is a dilemma that both Bangladesh government and Indian government has. The minority wants to leave Bangladesh, but this minority, Sheikh Hasina has been doing a very good job, let me tell you. One of the things, she is the best among all the options we have. One, even today, but she keeps her family in India. She does not keep all her family.
The extremism is still growing. I mean, how do you say she's doing a good job while you see the signs of extremism still?
Economy, she has managed a very good economy. And also, the cooperation between India and Bangladesh is very high. Today,
but
despite
religious extremism, I mean, Shekharji, the religious extremism is growing, and as a result, I mean, like when about a month ago, when some of the Hindu temples and the Hindu families were attacked, we had a reprisal of your organization, supporters of your government, going in a rampage, killing the Muslims in the states of Assam and in West Bengal region. Right. This hatred feeds each other. Unless you can tone down, bring the understanding of the people to
the
a
extremists are every side. These people have no religion. These people have no country. They're full of hate for anybody different than themselves. So, John, there is no monopoly. There is no monopoly of hate in one place or another place. Extremism also. In every society, every religion, there are extremist people. We should not give them a level of any country. Like terrorists have no religion, no country. They are a state by itself. There are 178 Islamic terrorist organizations, but we blame the country where they live. We blame Pakistan for all the terrorist organizations in Pakistan. Pakistan is as much a victim of those terrorists as anybody else is.
Well, probably India is not too far behind in that. Yeah. You can find a lot of extremist organizations in both faiths.
That's right.
All right. But do you feel
the right answer is what the US does? US does not go out and blame the government of a country for the terrorists living in that country, because that country is also suffering from them. What is the best thing to do is work together. India should work together with Pakistan and Bangladesh to help them control these extremist and terrorist organizations. That's the right attitude. But blaming people.
But India is much closer there, Shekarji. India is much closer to Bangladesh and Pakistan. But do you think the political development in India in the last 10 or 15 or 20 years is contributing to the rise of Islamic extremism against Hindus in those countries?
Not only Hindu, John. They are killing Muslims too. I used to be an illusion because I'm a Hindu myself. I thought all the suffering is borne by the Hindus, but they're secular Muslims. They're good meaning Muslims in both countries. Like women in Pakistan or Bangladesh, they are more victim of the Islamic terrorism than Hindus are. The women live, many of the places women live is a life of slave. 3-4 wives, and they live there. Now, I used to think that all this kidnapping and marrying the girls is all Hindu. It's not true. In Pakistan, more cases of the Christians than Hindus. Now, if you look at, cut their veins, they all have the same blood. So we need to realize this problem is nothing to do with the religion, nothing to do with the country. They are people who are crazy, extremists, and we need to work together. The United States is the best place to do. We need to introduce law and intervene in other countries as we are doing it. And, we should not allow the human right violation no matter who does it. See, if India does it, India should also be punished. If Pakistan does it, but again, Pakistan, but this terrorism is a very funny phenomenon. They're not in control of their government. Their government is not able to control them. They're killing the Pakistani soldiers. Taliban, there is a Taliban in Pakistan. They kill the Pakistani soldiers. Now you're going to blame them for that part of the Pakistan. They're not part of the Pakistani government. So we need to help this country get handle over this terrorist organization. Then only we can solve it. Otherwise, the blame game has gone on for a very long time, 70 years. Nothing has happened. You are absolutely right. Nothing has moved between India and Pakistan. But India and Bangladesh, since they become independent, economic condition is improved. There is more jobs. People are living a much healthier life, but it's not the ideal. There's too much population. 200 million people over there. In India's population is growing 1.4. So population is one of the problems that is creating. No job, economy is suffering, and all these are breeding extremists and terrorists in all the three countries. So
I'm sure my suggestion here, with my next suggestion, is not going to be very popular. But do you think creating an economic free zone where movement of goods and people could be normalized will help the situation in Bangladesh?
Yes, it can.
Do you think your party,
the
every organization party that you are part of,
every party, one thing people agree on is economic growth, jobs, good hospitals, good education. That's the one thing I don't know anybody disagrees with it.
But how can you say that when there are laws in the book, but try to create more laws to apprehend and to round up and deport Bangladeshi people from parts of India if you are advocating for a free movement of people and goods?
Well, the Bangladesh was created in 71, and that time many of the Bangladeshis, 10 million to be exact, they went to India. They were not all Hindu; they're Hindu Muslims all, and they're still living in refugee camps. And many of their father has died, children have been there. It's unfortunate, but they're there, and I think there almost 100 refugee camp in Assam and Bengal. They're there. It's all question of economy now. The India's economy is not strong enough, and it is getting worse every day because population is growing, and there is no control over population. The economy is not growing, keeping pace with the population. So we are at the mercy of those things. And even your worst critics will agree with you that the answer lies in education, economic growth, and healthcare. But where do you do healthcare? If your economy is not growing, how are you going to support it? So what you suggested is a very good suggestion, that we need to focus on, no matter which, Pakistan, Bangladesh, how to grow economy, how to grow job. If we do that, many of the problems will get diminished.
So in that, if I read you correctly, Shekharji, your policy contradicts your party's position in government now, which is...
Not really, John, not really. Let me tell you, the education reform among the Muslims. Muslim girls never used to go to school. They have to go to madrasa and read the Quran. Right? It was
madrasa is not only the Quran. They teach regular subjects also.
It's nowadays, after some changes happen. But again, BJP believes that government, a party can say anything what they want to, but a government has to be blind to a citizen. Whatever your religion is, it doesn't matter. For a government, it's the same. It's a famous line from Atal Bihari Vajpayee that if Radha becomes a doctor, so can Rajya. The state cannot differentiate between Radha and Rajya. So the state of Uttar Pradesh during Rajnath Singh Chief Minister's time, they made a law that if you don't send your girls to school, I'm going to put you in jail. And they started putting in jail, no matter what it is. So the education is one good thing.
As you know, we discussed about, I disagree with that approach, even though the end result may be a desirable end result, but the approach is wrong. Rather than punishing the parents, we should encourage the parents to send their children to school.
Yeah, but
that's a different subject we can talk about.
The parents really were taking guidance from the mullahs instead of the guidance from themselves. You cannot keep the girls uneducated. They have right. So now second one, the talaq. They look at the talaq. You can divorce a woman on the phone by repeating the word talaq 3 times. BJP took it very seriously and made it illegal. That is why the Muslim woman today is almost, I would say 60% are pro-BJP. And this is a surprising element. People don't want to admit that because they want good for their own kids. They want alimony. They don't want their husbands to treat them bad. So in many spheres, BJP has tried to modernize the country.
I'm sure we will talk about the India side of it, in coming episodes. But today, talking about the status, the plight of the Hindus in Bangladesh,
it's pathetic.
It is pathetic. It is horrible.
Yeah, it is.
But
John, do you know that most of the professionals in Bangladesh, professor, teacher, clerk, they're all Hindus. They're all Hindus. But they cannot walk in the street with the head high held. They will be, at one time, it was really a crime for a Hindu girl to be beautiful. She has to be shipped to Calcutta but now Sheikh Hasina has made a lot of changes. During the BNP government, it was terrible. But today it's much, much better than it used to be. And India believes that if it keeps on supporting progressive reforms of Bangladesh and keep on helping them to push the economy, that's why this gas agreement that you can see, India has given the railways to Bangladesh. So your idea, stick to your idea. The key lies in economic growth. Because there, everybody is the same. Religion wipes out. Everybody wants a good quality life, a good hospital, good medicine. If we focus on that, I think the extremism can get reduced because we all want a good life.
But do you also think that that America's approach in issuing sanctions against individuals is an effective way of discouraging?
Very effective.
Very effective.
Do
you think that model could be applied elsewhere also?
Yes, it should be applied. What I'm saying that human right is a right given to human by the God Almighty. No government has a right to take away. But again, what governments often say, this is sovereign issue. I can punish my citizen, I can harass my citizen because I'm sovereign. It's a nonsense. There's certain right that citizen has nothing to do with the country. It has to do with the God Almighty itself. Like the practicing on your own religion, your own faith, is human rights. People should have that right. And if the government does not do, United States being a superpower has a moral obligation to, because it has signed on the UN Charter. Bangladesh has signed on the UN Charter, United States has signed, all the 3 countries have signed. But who is going to protect it or police it? Now, somehow, or rightly so, United States has taken the road. And I really appreciate that road. So what the sanction they have done is the right thing to do. Even though the sanction will, they're putting a sanction on individuals. They're not putting a sanction on the state machinery. So I think it's a very balanced approach. Those people who are responsible for kidnapping and all, they are the one punished.
Well, I'm really glad to hear you agree with me on that. We would like to have another in our next episode. I would like to discuss that very particular subject of how effective the sanctions are when it comes to protecting the individual rights and protecting or promoting individual rights in countries in that neighborhood. We will come back and talk about it soon in our next episode. Until then, let me thank you, Mr. Shekar Tiwari, for your time and having very freely expressed your opinions. Sometimes I find it contrary to some of the positions that I see of the organization of which you are a member, but I'm glad that you hold your own opinion when it comes to such important issues. And until then, would like to bid goodbye and see you soon. Thank you.
No,